Hello, I am Leave Nelson B, musician for Lonely Ghost Records, and this is Tellin with Ellen. Here, we will go over recent Lonely Ghost releases, as well as those from affiliated artists, in a quest to get liner notes that you cannot get in a digital era. I hope you enjoy.
Fun times here, and DIY keeps you on your toes.
Yeah,
Keeps
yeah.
you on your toes. Um, we'll probably not include that part in
Yeah,
this, by the way. But
yeah.
all right, so
But thanks for laying that out. I
I
hadn't
just
heard.
wanted to give you a heads up because I know you've done stuff with us before.
Yeah, I've been off work from my day job this week, and so I've been totally disconnected from social media. Also, just like
Nice.
standing back, so I haven't heard the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I don't blame you. I've been taking a little step back unofficially myself.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about the best album so far, right?
Yeah, best. Well, I'm putting releases because I think EPs need to be included too.
Yeah,
And
I think I included a couple.
And plus, I have to have like 5 songs that I just think are great that we're not necessarily, that necessarily need I think highlighting. But before we do that, like, is there anything from 2020 from our? Because we did the
Well,
top 20.
actually, let's step back even one step further. Why don't we all introduce ourselves since it's
Okay.
a panel show? So maybe do a welcome even, and we'll just consider that the beginning of filming.
Or really, because we're not going to do a cold open because I love the cold.
I mean, the rant might be, we'll transition in either way.
But anyway, yeah, I'm Leave Nelson B, host of Tellin with Ellen. We have Taylor, writer of All Seen Eye, and I believe you're Post Trash as well.
Post Trash as well, Merry-Go-Round magazine as well.
Merry-Go-Round now too, right?
Yes, that's been a recent development.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, that's been a lot of fun. A couple of my selections here are thanks to my friends at Merry-Go-Round, which I'll shout out.
Okay.
Taylor also has contributed stuff to our website.
I did. I wrote a Lonely Ghost community review. Thank you for having me on that. That was so fun.
I also wrote a review of Taylor's record from a few years back on Twitter.
You did. I appreciated that.
That was fun to do. That really was.
Two Old Cat LP1 in the works. Don't tell anybody. It's coming down the pipe.
All right.
Not anytime soon, but keep your ear to the ground.
And we have Superdestroyer.
I'm around.
A common co-host and guest host.
I'm around. I make music and record label, whatnot. Lonely Ghost Records.
So, and there's an LP on the horizon for you, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so I am working on, almost finished with, an album called Such Joy that I'm hoping to release in September, kind of figuring that out right now. So I think it's sounding pretty cool. I will say that. I'm pretty excited about it, but I got to figure out some of the like artwork and pictures and stuff like that still, so I'm kind of in that process now. So it's exciting.
Everybody watching this, you're gonna want to keep an eye on this process. That's all I'm gonna say. You're gonna want to be paying attention for this one.
I really appreciate that. So, all right, Nelson, you said you wanted to revisit 2020 first?
Yeah, is there anything that we missed that we feel like is notable enough to mention from our as like a addendum to our our top 2020 podcast from February?
I think you and I share one.
Oh, Eve Stummer. Yeah. Eve Stummer, yeah. That was a good.
Make that 3. All of us share that one.
Yeah, okay. I hadn't heard that until 2021, but wow, that's
just
a good
knockout.
One.
Just a knockout record.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's just a great sounding. It's just a great sounding record. Like as soon as I heard Kerosene, I'm like, okay, I'm all in on this. I'm in till it's done. It could be poo poo all throughout the rest of the album. That song earned a goodwill for me to listen to the rest of it, and it was all good. There is not a single weak track on there.
It's just such a hot sounding record, like the heat of it is so radiant. You just feel it.
Yeah, it's a wild album. I love the incorporation of jazz and how it's used and how well it's used. That was pretty neat, to be honest with you. That really struck me. Is there any others that I know? I have one that's not really like an underknown or a real sleeper of an album for most people, but I have one I want to throw in there.
I have a couple of sleepers. Go ahead, John.
Okay, so I actually want to mention Playboy Cardi's Whole Lotta Red. When it came out, I liked it, but in the past like month, I've been listening to it a lot. And I mean, take it for what it is, right? Like, I'm kind of comparing it to what I would consider to be contemporaries as well. So like, I'm not saying it's a lyrical masterpiece, but I think I fully understand what Cardi was going for, and I understand like the punk like angle and lens that he presented with that album. And like I was listening to it last week and it really clicked with me. Like I get it now and I hear it, and I think it's actually really interesting and kind of innovative, despite the fact that like it's subtle differences in the vocal performances and like the way the instrumentals are mixed. And like I understand the rougher edges to that album kind of to be a part of all of that. And I really kind of have come full circle and been like, I like this album, but now like I really like this album. So I think that would become one that I would mention, to be honest.
All right.
So
and, Taylor, what you got?
I've got a couple.
What's your sleeper hits?
Yeah. So first is an album that technically came out last year, but they just issued tapes this year. It's by a duo called Cedaria. They're I believe from gosh, I should have looked this up beforehand. I want to say Michigan, but really good lo-fi emo record. Just a really, really cool, like they're the two members of the band each have their own projects that are both excellent, Bedtime Call and No Algorithm, and together they just make this really, really great duo.
How do you spell it?
Cedaria, yeah, Sideria, Cedaria. This is one I had the privilege of talking to them over email earlier this year about the record. Really cool people, cool record. If you're a fan of emo or lo-fi or both, then you're gonna want to hear it.
Yeah,
okay. And I have a couple of tracks that I like to highlight that came out last year. There's one record. I don't know if I mentioned Moody Black Fuzz. I feel like that was a great record that came out last year. And plus, King Princess, her song Ohio was really, really good for me. I really love that track, and I'm surprised I didn't mention it because it's like it's the song that made me start my best of 2021 playlist last year. And Loathe had a record last year, which it pretty much soothed my need for a Deftones record, I think. And I really like Two-Way Mirror by Loathe. That was a really good record. But other than that, I'm good to go.
Can I shout out one more record from last year?
All right.
This is another one that I have on cassette. Actually, it's by I hope that
that's cool.
Looks like anything.
I like that one too. I like the artwork.
Yeah, it was. This record came out on Citrus City. It's by Index. It's called Tephra, and it's Tephra. Tephra. Really great electronic dance music. A lot of video game samples, which I love. Just a really fun, really great dance record that came out at an inopportune time for dance music, but I would hope could get some recognition now that people are feeling more able to enjoy those kinds of things.
Yeah, fun music is like it took a dive, I think, within like the last the last few years. I think before the pandemic, like you didn't have a lot of like fun music that was just there for the sake of being fun, unless it was like cookie cutter pop music. But I really think like fun music should make a return, to the forefront.
This was something that'll become clear in my picks for this year so far. Is I'm really just in a place where I want to hear fun music. Like even though I'm not doing a whole lot yet in terms of like going out. There's still a pandemic happening. I'm really feeling the vibes.
You got some not fun shit on there, buddy.
I was gonna say I don't know, Taylor.
It's about 50-50. Let's say that.
Okay, that's okay. All right, so will you drop those into the group chat later too, the links to those, because I'm gonna have a hard time finding them while
Oh, absolutely. The two I just showed off, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else
What, any maintenance that we have to do?
No, like just 2020. Anything that I'm trying to think of. Like, is there anything else I left out? I mean, we've talked about a lot of albums, you and I, Nelson. So I'm sure there is, but
Oh yeah, and you said you don't like Lorena. I don't know what to pronounce her last name.
Sawayama.
Sawayama. Yeah, you don't like that record at all.
Not as reflective. I think that some of the stuff she does is interesting, but I've listened through the album a few times and I'm not a fan.
Not for everybody.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I love it. I think it's
it's
great.
well made though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it, but I don't think it's bad. Those are two different things, and I feel like enough people don't understand the distinction between that. Like, I think it's really well made and impressive. It just doesn't hit for me. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
But it's interesting, and I definitely always appreciate that. You know?
And there's also like another like section of music that's hard to figure out the best of. I think Griselda makes it hard for you to pick a best record since they release like 3 albums each like every year.
Yeah, they release a lot.
You know.
No,
And-
the Matt Comey,
But even
album-
Mac Homie releases like damn near 4 records a year. Him
I was
and
gonna say,
Scott Mahane, yeah.
the most recent one is really
Pray for Haiti. Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's not like one of my favorites of the year, but like I've tossed it on just doing stuff and it's really well made.
It's a damn good record. I will say that.
Yeah. All right. So do we want to jump in with the choices?
All right. And I guess as with tradition, I will go first then with my favorite records of the year. Okay. Tokyo Incidents music. When I was in high school, I really got into Tokyo Incidents or Tokyo Jihen. I don't know how. I don't know. I think I used to listen to like Kyoto Jazz Massive and like the Pillows and CM Shade like way back in the day. And I think they came up on like one of my like, oh, you will also like this type of thing. And I really, really liked them. They broke up for a while. They came back together like last year and released the EP. And this year they released the first full record in a long time. And I absolutely adore it. Like it's very, very tight. It's very like musically there's a lot of things in there, you know, and the vocalist has not lost any of her talent whatsoever. The thing about Tokyo Incidents that everybody contributes songs. Everybody writes songs on in that band. So it's not just a core like songwriting group. No, each of them like independently come in with tracks, and you can definitely tell that with some of the different styles of this record. Like some are really like manic and like manic jazz, like sort of like it's So Quiet by Bjork type of stuff, and some of it is like really chill and lo-fi, and I really like this record. I was excited. I think I listened to this record like 4 times in a row when I found out that it came out. Second one, Eve Stummer, Asymptomatical World. That EP is amazing. I really love this EP. I think Jackie is one of my like favorite songs of the year. Eve Stummer is like just like it's pure musicianship, like as far as like how I classify it. Like there's something that only they could do, you know, and it hits like the right chord for me, you know, every time. And like it's very lean release. It's only like I believe 5 or 6 tracks, and yeah, it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a journey. No 2 tracks sound the same.
I checked it out, but I haven't like had enough time to like have an opinion. But I liked it. I liked what I heard. I mean, I think like Eve Stummer is hard to describe as an artist in general, like what they're putting out. I don't know how you describe what they're doing, but like it's definitely a certain flavor. Like you have to be in the right mood for it, in my opinion. Like when you're in the right mood, it's like really sick, but if not, it's kind of just
it scratches such a particular itch, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is I just have not quite been in that zone where like every time I try to listen to it, I feel like I'm not really like listening to it, you know?
Well, I think the chord that it strikes, like, it's the part of my brain that it strikes with me because if you know, remember like the late 90s and early 2000s was a very like Danny Automator heavy time and like independent music. You know, you had like I think like every year from like 98 to like maybe '02, there was like a different Danny Automator album coming out between like Lovage and Deltron 3030 and the first Gorillaz record. You know, like I think it scratches that itch for me
That's
more than
interesting.
anything else. And I listen to those records all the time, like all the time. So, but yeah, but I think when I first heard that album last year, like the first thing I thought of was like the Gorillas. That's the first thing I thought of was like the first Gorillas record, and
Interesting.
I immediately fell in love with it. So yeah, Eve Stummer, great great record, great EP, like great musical instincts, great songwriting instincts. Just it's a beautiful sound that they're putting forth.
I was so excited to see this drop. I haven't heard it yet, but this is like top of my list for when I'm done here.
Uh, Next record is Backwash. I Lie Here Buried with My Rings and Dresses.
Former shout out former Grimalkin Records collective member Backwash.
Yeah, I really like this record. It's it's such a brooding, dark experience. Like, and it comments on so many things from addiction to religion to like like just terrible people in general, and just like how far can you fall? Can you fall? Like I haven't heard something that goes this deep into like those things in the realm in the sonic realm that it's in since like Downward Spiral. At least that is like in your face that it is. At least the first half of Downward Spiral. This not the second half of Downward Spiral. But yeah, this thing really struck a chord with me. Like, and I try to listen to it in as many like dissonant settings as I can listen to it. Like I listen to it on the beach. Oh yeah, I listened to it while watching the sunrise on the beach after work one day.
Wow.
And yeah, and I just cannot like the like as soon as like the first note of Wail the Banshee comes on, it's over for me. Like it's so good.
I am not a fan of this album at all. I appreciate what she was doing. I actually have looked at the lyrics and thought that they were actually pretty well written, but fuck do I find this album boring. Like it reminds me of listening to I don't know, like I'm just thinking like there's a few Code Orange Kids songs from the album like Choices back in the day, Love is Love, like that had Choices, Love is Love on it, and I think it's called Choices. And like it just reminds me of like this particular song. I can't remember the name of it, but only like if you just loop the fucking breakdown or something. Like it just gets so bland to me over time of just like there's a lot of droning where the heaviness doesn't even feel heavy. It just feels like abrasive, which I think is the point probably, but like I know it borrows heavily from industrial and the yelling sounds kind of cool, but it just literally is unlistenable to me. Like I had to listen to it in chunks to even finish the album. So I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I know that Nelson, when we had talked about it, you had really liked that industrial sound to it.
It's one of the sounds that like just like really like speak to me. I think like to have like because I'm a drum guy, so like industrial drums always like always like really knock with me, and especially after like Moody Black's Fuzz, how like abrasive and even industrial that record is, and I like people like Arthur and Punisher, who was like one man like literally like controls everything through machinery. Controls all his like his MIDI things through machinery with like big levers and shit like that. It's like it's really like a Tetsuo type of experience. Like it looks exactly how it sounds and like
it does look how it sounds. Like the aesthetics and everything for the album do go really well with it.
Yeah.
And the black and white is perfect for it because I feel it's very much colorless to me. But I will say, you know what it reminds me of? Listening to a fucking Tool song. Like where at some point you're like, this is, I know it's supposed to be good, but at some point I just really realized I haven't paid attention in 3 or 4 minutes.
You're tuning you tune it out. It's not something that hits your frequency. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it
I definitely won't tag Backwash in this. when I post.
I wish I could play tiebreaker here, but this is another one I'm lagging behind on. I haven't heard it yet, so
I actually am so curious to get your opinion on this. Then,
yeah, I'll let you know. I for sure
Yeah.
will hit you guys up after this.
If it makes anybody, not that it really matters, but like I watched a few reviews and like everybody seems to agree with Nelson. I'm the outlier here. It seems like most people have enjoyed this album. That's what made me check it out. It got good reviews, and maybe that's why I didn't like it, to be honest with you, because maybe I had an expectation preformed in my brain going into it. But yeah, I mean, I'm on the,
I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion. I'm not gonna argue with you. I like the record. I think I think it's a good exposition, especially like to hear these things in the context of who's telling them to you, and because like representation matters,
absolutely.
and like I think.
And I've liked some of I've liked some of her older stuff. I actually had heard of her before, and I actually really liked the heaviness of it. This one just felt almost like maybe not different enough. Like I feel like all the stuff I heard prior I liked, and like this didn't feel like she was doing anything particularly like new or interesting with it or different. But again, I wasn't like a huge fan, so maybe I just didn't notice the nuances in it. I don't know.
I think that's fair. That's a fair statement. I may disagree, but it's a fair statement.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you like it actually, because I feel like a lot of people have, and it's cool to like, we talk about this stuff. So maybe you'll win me over. Maybe you'll give me the angle I need to listen to it to be like, oh yeah, this is it.
Well, I think everything is done very well. Like even just the cadence of the rapping is like just so very well done. Like because I like read the lyrics while like how do you fit that into that rhythm? Like it's just like I think there's so many things to appreciate about it. And that's why it's like one of my. It'll probably definitely be in my album of the year list.
Nice.
So.
The title would go in my titles of the year list, though. I fucking love the title of that album. It's so cool.
Amazing.
Well, definitely the best like cover. I love seeing that cover on my phone screen. When it comes on.
Yeah, it's neat looking.
And last but not least, Czarface and MF Doom, Super What?
I think you actually have one more after that. Actually.
Do I?
Only 4. Yeah, in the group chat, I think you just left one off initially.
Separate message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I do have one more. My bad.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Czarface Super What, MF Doom Super What. I did not like the first Czarface and MF Doom record. I did not like it at all. I thought it was a very.
I didn't hate it, but I was indifferent. This was way better. I agree.
Yeah, like it was just so, I don't know, especially when you have somebody like Esoteric and Inspector Deck and MF Doom on a project. It needs to go on all cylinders, And I think they course corrected with the Czarface and Ghostface record. I thought that was way better. And then I'm glad Super What came out, because that's basically what I wanted when I wanted this record to sound like. But yeah, like just all aces on this record. I think Zarwin's Theory, like I really like that. I really like that track. It's insane the way the beat changes and everything. Like this song is bananas. Like
this almost feels like an actual progression of Wu-Tang sound. Like to me, this kind of does sound like Wu-Tang in 2021 almost. Like there's a lot of stuff that I think harkens back to like the old school hip hop vibes, but it doesn't sound dated or anything. It sounds like a fresh take on it. And partially, Nelson, it's because the instrumentals do a lot of change ups that are like really threw me for a loop. I feel like where I was like, whoa, like literally verbally out loud going like, woo, as I'm listening to it. So I was like, did not expect that. This is so cool. And obviously like, the rapping was impeccable, but that's not, that's kind of to be expected. So
I did not expect a record that featured like DMC or Run DMC and and Delta Funky Homo Sapien to sound this fresh and like really do like because I think a lot of mistakes that like people who have been rapping for a while, they get into a rhythm and and they just like it's like going for the motions, and I feel like Czarface, more often than not, like they don't do that. I mean, with the Czarface MF Doom project, it definitely like felt like a forced collaborative project. the first album did, but this one does not. It sounds like they were together, you know, and they were like literally vibing off each other,
Yeah.
and bringing like the best. Like, oh man,
MF Doom sounds like the best version of MF Doom on this album to me.
yeah,
Like,
and
he's in good form.
well, yeah, he's in the best form since like before like the JJ Doom record, you know.
Yeah. This reminds me of older, like probably like maybe circa 2010s Doom, like
This
early,
is
like mid, you know.
this is like Food level Doom for me,
Ooh.
you know.
I was gonna say maybe even mid 2000s. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's he really goes, which is kind of like, and maybe I wanted to like this album too. I will admit, you know, Doom had just passed not that long before, but like this felt like a pretty good send off for him. Or, you know, he might have one more album that's gonna come out or something, I think, but like this just felt like it, you know, it didn't feel like the new Pop Smoke album where you're like, you know, Frankenstein together and soulless and whatever, like.
Right.
because me and you talked like earlier this week how like some like more often than not posthumous rap albums feel like you're like looting the corpse of, you know,
Yeah.
of what was
Yeah.
there, you know. Like
That sucks.
I think me and you disagree on Mac Miller. 'Cause I think I like the posthumous album actually a lot, but yeah, this
I just, yeah, it's, you know.
you know, but like this sounds like prime Doom. This sounds like Doom at his best. This sounds like Doom when he was actually like trying and like going hard, you know, like, and just
it reminded me of the Danger Mouse collaboration even a little, or the Danger Doom collaboration a little bit even. It had that fun kind of like cartoony element, like that didn't feel forced on this one. Like it felt like a fun perspective.
you know, is it Doom's lyrical best? No, but like it's a more fun. This is Doom when he's having fun, not trying to like, like daisy chain lines together out like crazy like he used to. But yeah, definitely Czarface, Super What, Czarface and Emerson, Super What. I'll say this is probably like my favorite Czarface, just Czarface record in general.
Oh, absolutely. I actually am not a big fan of Czarface. I wanted to like it, I know that, but I didn't actually have that high of expectations for it because I have never really found myself revisiting a Czarface release after an initial listen.
I think I revisited the first one more than the others. I think Dead Zone for me is like a regular like, you know, I'm doing things song for me. So, but yeah, I absolutely love Czarface, and this is definitely like the best Czarface record. And
Have you heard this, Taylor?
No, I was very much behind the curve. You know, I'm still getting caught up with MF Doom. Like I had not been a listener. I'm still very much learning the language that is hip hop. But you know, I've been spending the past few months with Operation Doomsday and Food and those kinds of records.
Those are good albums to spend some time with.
So I've been working my way forward, you know, and I'm not quite to the present yet.
Yeah,
Operation Doomsday was so good for me.
Absolutely
That
great record.
That was like a time where like it was like I wasn't buying my own stuff, and that was like one of the few records that I actually did own. So like it stayed in like every CD player for like a period of like a year. So and I like how Chris Pratt describes like Dr. Dre's 2001 is like, you know, Operation Doomsday for me, because that was in like every car I had for like a period of like 2 years. That and like Return to the 36 Chambers was one of those CDs that I just like had, and my CD collection has grown substantially since those days. But yeah,
Return to the 36 Chamber is one of my go-tos. Like to this day, it's still like I'm not sure what to listen to. Maybe I should listen to ODB. You know?
Yeah, for sure, it holds up to that.
That's like really
best. Because I believe the first week of June was when the next record came out. Tyler Creator's "Call Me If You Get Lost." That week had so many releases that like for
Massive.
that week was wild.
Yeah, like
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, everything from Doja Cat to Modest Mouse to Tyler the Creator to Backwash, like all those came out in like 1 week.
Wait, Backwash came out that week too?
Yeah.
Damn, like literally a third of the albums on this list came out on the same day.
Yeah.
Because the Newgrounds Death Rugby album came out that day too.
Oh man, that's a shame.
It's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But okay, so Tyler the Creator. This is on my list also.
Yeah. Oh man, Lumberjack is my favorite. Like lead
Fucking brilliant.
off Tyler single. You know,
Sampling
like
Gravediggers.
yeah,
Yeah.
samples great. Like yeah,
And
definitely.
Corso, I swear to God. Okay, is Corso a Waka Flocka sample?
It's very well. It very well
It
could be.
sounds like it's a Waka Flocka song being sampled. If it's not, it's definitely an homage to Waka Flocka. Because that song, literally, I was like, "What's?" I swear it's a Waka Flocka song.
You know, but yeah, it was definitely nice to hear like Young Boy Never Broke Again actually like
Be good?
do well. Yeah, it was actually
Lil Wayne's verse, "Hot Wind Blows."
yeah,
Oh, I don't even like him anymore because of all the bullshit that he pulled last year. But
There's a lot, yeah.
that was another one where he started rapping. I was driving in my car with my girlfriend when he switched up his flow. I literally out loud was like, "Woo!" Like
he only should work with Tyler because Smuckers was also like a jam that
I think that's like one of the things about this album that's like so like that sticks out so much for me is like Tyler brought out probably the best version of every single person who was featured
I would
on
agree.
this album. Yeah.
Yeah, even little Uzi Vert, like
Yeah, it was
holy shit.
Yeah, every single person on this album like really brought it, and like I think this might be my favorite Tyler the Creator album.
Yeah, I think it's the most listenable for me. Like it's not something it's not pretentious, you know, what like say like some people I can see interpreting Flower Boy as pretentious.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and Igor Igor is the concept record in which, you know, I like Igor a lot, but I think it's like one of those things where it's like either you love it or you hate it type of
I
thing.
like that album a lot, but I find that album to be less listenable in the sense of just like it's not it doesn't have like a I can just throw this on vibe. I feel like you kind of have to be in the mood for Igor because it's a little bit more like reserved and kind of weird, but it's really gorgeous and like you know, laying on a hammock might be great for Igor, but like Call Me If You Get Lost is kind of great for just like driving around.
Well, yeah, and plus call me if you get lost. Like, I mean, it's kind of weird because like Taylor uses a concept to like tell a story that is like very obviously very personal, like to him and Igor. But with Call Me If You Get Lost, she does feel like you're getting to know an old friend again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It felt like Tyler. I don't want to say hit his stride because I think he hit his stride a long time ago. But like it almost felt like Tyler finally combined maybe some of the good things about his initial works because like if you remove all the problematic elements from those albums, they were, I thought, interesting albums. They had kind of a punkier feel to them. I dug the fact that they had a little bit of a roughness to them that some of his newer stuff doesn't. And I feel like he kind of recaptured that feeling while maintaining maturity. You know, it felt like a balance that I don't think has been there in a while. Because Flower Boy did not feel like I feel like he kind of cut out all the rough edges on that in Igor, you know, and that's fine. I liked both those albums as well, but you know.
I think Flower Boy does have edge, but it's not. It's definitely delivered in a way that like say like Dorian Gray will have like a like nice sounding record that's about like hiding bodies in a basement or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Flower Boy is definitely an exercise in like chord structure and like I think there's only like one like straight up Tyler's rapping song on there with Who That Boy.
That Boy, yeah. And then 911 is one of my favorite Tyler songs, if not my favorite song by him. Period.
Yeah.
So like
911 is good. 911 is good. It took me forever to get like the actual like the last like line like that like what it actually means, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And just for the record, like since Flower Boy, Tyler has released as many albums as Kendrick has put out his entire career,
and they're all amazing.
They're all amazing. So
they're all amazing. Like that's what actually is like so mind blowing about I think Call Me If You Get Lost is like. To be perfectly honest, when I first heard he was releasing an album, I was like, is this the one that's going to suck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess he did have Cherry Bomb, which I was not a big fan of, actually. So maybe that's his bad album. But even comparatively, like instrumentally, that was I still felt like a pretty well-made album. And this one just like, I will say the DJ drama features were fun, but maybe slightly over used.
I like it because I remember that time and
I do
where
too, on the
everybody had.
mixtape era, baby.
Yeah, I remember that time, and I look at it with but it's a fond memories that I have
Yeah.
of like going through Dat Piff and shit or DJ Booth.
Yeah, Dat Piffs. I mean, yeah, stealing downloading all those mixtapes, and like, I think the thing is like, I like it on a lot of the album, but there's just a few songs where it's like, I almost wish I could hear the instrumental without anything over it. And I feel like he kind of filled some of that blank space with DJ Drama. And I guess there were times where I was like, man, that instrumental sounds so cool. I wish I could like focus on it, you know?
Actually, it got me thinking. Like, I wish Cherry Bomb had DJ Drama all over it. I
Actually,
really.
that album would have been that would have been a fantastic combination. That album would have been a lot better with DJ Drama on it.
Yeah.
It has that energy too.
Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah,
And this has like a 90s, early 2000s kind of throwback vibe to it that I think is pretty clear as well. Like, there's a lot of influence from that era of hip hop as well, which, I mean, I think that's why he chose obviously the DJ Drama features, but like, he did a good job of capturing that, I thought.
Yeah. And just a note for the listeners, like, we have recorded this before the Kanye West album drops, so it will not appear on any of our lists.
I'm not giving
Just put that out there.
Just put that out there. Like,
I don't care if it is the best album I've ever heard in my life. I'm not putting it on any list. Kanye West will fuck himself. Kanye owes a lot of people a lot of apologies before I'm going to put him back on the list.
I'm gonna nickname this episode "Hot Takes" by Superdestroyer.
Yeah, let's see. Don't worry. Hey, the New Joyce Manor remaster sucks too. How about that?
Oh, Super Destroyer versus the world.
I like the original. I'm glad it's still up on streaming. I'll never listen to that again.
Tell me how you feel about tell me how you feel about the Taylor versions of Taylor Swift album.
I haven't listened to them because I don't like Red. So let me just keep it going with these.
Keep it going. How many can we string together?
Yeah, but
oh man. All right, who wants to go next? Who wants to go next? Terry, you want to hear John shit on you?
I will step up to the mic. Let's see what you've got. Let's see what you've got for me, Super Destroyer. See what you can say about any of these records.
Honestly, I don't think much because I haven't really heard much of these. So
we're even, is what you're
No,
saying.
oh
Yeah.
I listened to them earlier today, and like it's they're pretty damn good. You would like some of them.
I'm so
I like that. So
thank you for doing the homework, Nelson. That's more than I did. I respect it. I'm going to start off with a record. This is another Grimalkin Records release. One of my favorite labels. They're local to me a little bit, kind of. So I always love when I get to stump for them. Quentin Barnes, As a Motherfucker. This record came out back in January. I feel like it got a lot of attention at the time from a lot of like indie publications, but might have fallen off the radar since then. Really great, very poppy R&B album. It's more or less straightforward. You know, it's just really well done, doing what it does. It's the melodies are, you know, super catchy. The arrangements are very vibey, electronic. The single How I Feel is the track I want everybody to listen to, because I feel like it's just one of those songs that makes you really excited about an artist's kind of potential and just like what kind of like pop songwriting they're capable of. Like Quentin Barnes just has like a lot of good ideas, and there's these moments that, you know, that stand out in the way that they're like just really good pop music, but also this song, you know, particularly is like subtly complex. It's a song about infatuation that layers kind of like the bliss and the frustration and everything kind of that goes along with that, with this like extremely catchy hook that just got stuck in my head for weeks after I heard it. There's some great, you know, collaborations on this record with some other indie artists. Just really solid.
You're selling me on this. This sounds like it would be right up my alley.
I think you would like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go pull this up right now. So
Heartbeat was the song that I really liked. I really loved Heartbeat.
Yeah, also a good one.
I think I like the sort of like the latter half of the record more. I like the opening half. But
really,
but I think much more. I think it's much more in tune with what I would listen to otherwise. And I really like this record. I'm surprised cool. I never heard it, but yeah, I love this brand of pop music a lot. You know, You know, it's not very it's not saccharine at all. Like
No.
no, it's not. So
It's also like there's a lot of like subtle variations on the sound that really sink in after a while. Like a track like Switch is really a lot harder and kind of dirtier and has a little bit of a grime to it and a little bit of an edge that I appreciate. It has its like moments where it pulls in some really interesting directions for me. It's so funny. I'm the opposite. I really love the first half of this record. The second half is great too, but it's not that it doesn't resonate with me as much. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool that hit you.
no, but yeah, like I don't know. I really like the closing track. I really like Metallic.
Yeah.
Like I think those like I don't know if I because I've listened to this maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was all today. And I think I was like watching, so like yeah, I was like washing dishes and doing like household chores while listening to Taylor's picks. So but yeah, like those things are. This is a very funky record, Like this is like the one that I listened to multiple times.
We talked back in January, when this record came out, and we had a great conversation, talking a lot about like being influenced by like the work, the prolificness and the uniqueness of an artist like Prince, which I could see Quentin Barnes like kind of carving out a niche in a similar kind of way, just in terms of like having a sound, having a little like core of people and really making some really exciting music.
Well, even just like the production of everything is like, just beautiful and lush.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't hear a lot of younger artists like harkening back to Prince of all people.
Yeah,
seems like, and he's like, I know he was really famous, but I feel like Prince is like weirdly underrated. Like
kind of memory hold in a way, right?
Yeah. And it's like not fair almost because like he was so good and interesting and innovative and like people ripped him off a lot and like yeah.
Well, I mean, Prince occupies a lot of spaces, and like I think for every person that listens to any music, there's a Prince album for them because like some of them are different to the point of like alienation,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
he had like he had like records with just him and the piano. He had like like he had a record where he basically invented a religion.
yeah,
Rainbow Children. Yeah, he basically invented a religion and told like the tale of the tenets of this religion. And Rainbow Children is my favorite record. But yeah, like any wanted to speak on something very direct, he did it. Like from like the last record he did, the Third Eye Girl record. I really like that record. And to like from like to go from Darling Nikki to that, like Prince is gonna inspire a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he was like a musician's musician too. He never really like shied away from just like being the best. Like
just being just super like a virtuosic talent also, like not just
like
a creative mind, but also
like I'll hear him play multiple instruments on an album and be like, that's like some of the best playing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
but if you catch like a Prince performance on YouTube when he's like in an ensemble like a whole, like when it was like a tribute to the Beatles where they play like My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah.
And like you had like Eric Clapton and Bruce Springsteen and
just
like
just
Johnny
blowing
Harrison.
Eric Clapton's entire head off. With
Literally just goes on there and embarrasses everybody on stage, and he just throws his guitar away.
Yeah.
He just throws his guitar away like it's trash. Like, oh yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
That's like a history. He does that. Like he just shows up with no guitar, borrows somebody else's guitar, and then destroys it after he's done playing.
That's a power move.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he did it with Captain Kirk from the Roots when he did Bambi. And he had his own guitar. He performed with his own guitar and brought Captain Kirk and like threw it like 10 feet high and crashed on stage.
Legendary.
But anyway, sorry to derail.
Yeah. I mean, anytime we can derail and just talk about Prince, like that's great. But so you mentioned putting this on while you're like doing, house chores, and we've not yet begun to explore the best records on my list for that exact purpose. One of them is definitely Emphatically No by Cheekface. I have to shout out Ted Davis from Merry Go Round magazine for turning me on to this band. It's like if you took this like really talky post-punk trend that's going on right now in England, but you like replace all the like dry Britishness with, you know, this entirely, you know, much wackier, more self-deprecating, snappier thing. This is an LA band. They're very funny. There was a write-up in The Alternative where Henderson compares it to like hearing Mitch Hedberg just like trying out material.
Yeah,
And
I hear that.
it's like, it's very much like that, because it's just one liner, and you know, almost all of it. I can't really think of a real clunker on the record. It's very good. I liken it to like Hank Green fronting Cake or something like that. It's very just like it's very talking about, you know, the state of the world, talking about mental health, but it's such a it's one of those records that's like the first time you hear it, like laugh out loud funny, uncomfortably relatable, and then after a few more listens it sinks in like actually the songwriting is just really good. The melodies are always, you know, kind of hit. The musicality is such that like once you've heard the punchlines, you know, it doesn't really get old. Like I was worried, you know, at first about this. Like sometimes you watch a comedy special and you're like, oh, that's great, and then you want to watch it again and it doesn't hold up because you already know where it's going. This is not that at all. Like once you know the jokes, it's still just good music. My favorite song on this might be the song No Connection, which I would recommend people check out. Just holistically, lyrics are great, melody's great, super catchy, fun song. Love it. Can't say enough good things about Cheek Face. Already have tickets for when they're in town in the fall. Check it out. Emphatically No is the record.
I really like Best Life.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, yeah, I really
it's
like
your best life if it's the life that you're living right now.
Yeah.
I can't just get quoting Cheek Face lyrics, but I think the chorus on that is something like, don't want to hug, don't want to talk to a dude, I'll be in the corner, bring me water and food, I'm on the outside looking in at you, inside looking out, it's your best life if it's the life that you're living right now. It's like the whole album is like that, just like super snappy, punchy rhymes, metrically perfect, like it's just unassailable lyricism. I can't say enough good things about it.
It's a very tight sounding record too. Everything is very intentional.
Yes.
You know, but yeah, it definitely sounds like you're hearing like the funniest parts of every Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. It's really like that. Yes, that's good. I love that.
I heard this one out in the wild, so I haven't heard it like start to finish so much as I've just like heard songs.
Yeah.
As it's gone. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen all the way through. But I enjoyed it as well. I thought it's a fun sound, and it does kind of like hold your interest. It's something that I've been meaning to like revisit, and I probably will after we're done with this conversation while I work on some stuff, honestly. But yeah, that's one that I see a lot of people talking about too.
Yeah,
like
it was one
people caught on to this album.
I had heard of them, and I had seen the promo pic for this record, which is great because it's one of the guys in the band is holding this huge like stuffed like loaf of bread in all their promo pictures, and it's very you're scrolling your Twitter feed and it's like, wait, is he holding a big loaf of bread? And you keep scrolling or you click on it or whatever. I always appreciate when a band has an interesting promo pic because you invariably see these things over and over again, and you know, might as well make it interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, bit of a vibe change.
Oh, we're gonna get sad now. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it down, but then we're gonna pull up out of it. I'm gonna point the nose of the plane directly down, but I'm gonna pull up before we hit bottom. Sunny War, Simple Syrup. I always feel like I've got to throw in at least one interesting folk album in my lists, and in terms of stuff that I've heard so far this year, this is the one. Sunny War is this artist from Venice Beach, California. She has this super unique, very bluesy finger-picking style on guitar. And her background is in folk punk, which isn't something that really comes up on this record in the sound, but definitely in the sense of having a really sharp, really distinct perspective. She's very much an original, doesn't sound like a lot of what's happening in folk and Americana right now. The song Mama's Milk is the kind of song that like just stopped me in my tracks, and I had to like, you know, okay, hold everything, I've got to know about this album. It's really impressive guitarist, these really kind of minimal arrangements that still do a lot on this record. If this is the kind of thing that I would recommend to people, where it's like, if you don't think there's anything interesting happening in folk music right now, you think the genre is not really for you, try this. You know, you might be surprised. She's just like that kind of talent to me.
I like the vocals are very smoky, you know.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
cool. She does this like almost always she does this like octave thing where she's singing, you know, the high and the low parts, and it really melds into something cool.
But yeah, it's very smart. I like Nina.
That's
Like
a
Nina,
great song.
Like
Yes.
Nina was probably my favorite song that I heard.
Great song. Yeah, I highly recommend that one also. Another, you know, less upbeat record, let's say. McKinley Dixon, For My Mama and Anyone Who Looked Like Her. This is an album of the year contender, absolutely, for me. It's you know, the thing is, you know, I mentioned I've been really into fun music, and that's true, and that just means that like if you're gonna make a serious record, then like you know, I'm zeroing in on the ones that really wow me, and this album is just spectacular. McKinley Dixon is a rapper and also kind of a jazz band leader based out of Richmond. This is the third part of a trilogy that's been going on for about 5 years or so, and it's memorializing, you know, a friend of his who passed away, and it's at the same time sort of putting a bow on this massive body of work that's going back years, and has seen him kind of develop into this incredible lyricist, incredible arranger at the center of this kind of community of really great artists, and has just sort of really honed the ability to execute like really grand visionary kind of ideas. We talked for Post Trash earlier this year, which was great, but he talked about being really influenced by literature, by Toni Morrison, by you know, these kinds of big literary statements.
That's why I was trying to figure out. I was like, I know that I've heard of this album. I read that piece.
Thank you for reading it.
That's why I was like trying to figure out. I was like, I swear I know what this is. Yeah. Okay, that's why. Yep.
It was the piece also that came out at like the end of a couple weeks of just interviews with McKinley Dixon in like every publication, and so I'm sweating like, oh, is there any meat left on the bones of this album? Is anybody going to be interested in reading another interview with McKinley Dixon? But we had a really excellent conversation. He was very generous with his time and with his willingness to kind of interpret things. We spent so much time in the interview with him just like going line by line, like unpacking like what certain things were about. It was a very, very cool to have had the opportunity. He's just, you know, an incredible, you know, musical mind. And it's all just so very thoughtfully composed that we could have kept talking for hours about different things about this project. It's just it's so solid front to back.
This is my first time listening to McKinley Dixon, and the first thing that stuck out to me was like I swear that this is like a trend that started with like called Rock Marciano, is like rap songs with no drums, and there's two of them on here.
Yeah.
And they're glorious, and the way that the internal metronome must be strong with this one, because
Gotta be.
it is so tight. It is so on time. You know, like I remember I was just going back through like my like early listening habits and listening to like Silk the Shocker way back in the day, and he famous for not being on time or being offbeat, you know. But yeah, like I really did appreciate Make It Poet Black, Bless the Child, and Swinging was pretty damn good.
Yeah. As like an entry point, I feel like the one of my favorites is Brown Shoulders. I feel like is a good standalone to try out. As deep cuts go, it really doesn't get better for me than Mama's Home, which is like I think that might be one of the ones with no drums now that I'm thinking about it. But just there's so much dense like religious imagery on this record, and it's yeah, it's so dense, it's so deep. There's you can attack this from every angle. It holds up.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm looking forward to comparing this with you know, whatever Ka has to offer later in the year.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely of a piece in terms of like lyrical thoughtfulness, I would say.
You know, but yeah, I really like this record.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited that you do. This is one that I bought the vinyl for, and I've been, you know, kind of coming back to since earlier this year. It's very, very good. Very serious, and so, you know, it's very vulnerable and very heavy at a lot of times. But it's you know, absolutely been worth worth that to spend the time with it. My last record is one on the absolute inverse side of the spectrum, and that is Cooler Returns by Kiwi Jr. Have either of you heard this record?
Yeah, I have, and it's good. It's a really good record. Like I think I might only gripe is that sometimes the songs are a little long, but that's about it. As far as everything else,
Interesting.
yeah, like that. Especially the title song was
Yeah.
very good. Like I liked it. I liked it just fine.
It's the kind of record that, to me, it's not gonna, I don't know, it's not a life changer, but I can't deny just how very good it is. It's like, I reviewed it months ago and it just like hasn't left me alone since then. It really
mean-
jangly, poppy, indie rock. Really, the lyrics are clever. They're very dense. They're very esoteric and kind of opaque in a way that makes them really fun to kind of return to and puzzle out over and over again. It's also very funny, not quite in the same way as Cheek Face, but more in like a it's there's this kind of like harried sarcasm to the whole thing where you don't always know kind of what's being talked about, but there's some really great references and really great kind of quips in it. It's house cleaning music of the highest order. Put this record on, do what you need to do, have a good time. I wish I could remember who said this. I saw it described once as like car seat headrest meets the Strokes, which is one of the things that makes you jealous as a music writer. Like, that's perfect. I wish I came up with that.
Yeah, that's a good qualifier, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think records necessarily have to change the world or be like like try to reinnovate something.
Yeah.
If they could do things just like really well and like really disciplined, which is what this record does. It does what it does very, very well. And yeah, I'll like my first listen to it didn't leave a huge impression, but I do like for some reason want to listen to it again.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, this
like,
record is also a total crowd pleaser. I can vouch for, like, I've played it at like barbecues with my family and everybody has a good time. I played it last night at a board game night with some friends. It was great. Like, we put it on while we were playing Risk, and everybody, it's one of those things where you have it on for like 10, 15 minutes and suddenly somebody's like, hey, this is good. What is this? And the first listen, it doesn't really make that much of an impression. But as I've kind of come back to it more and more, like, I'm starting to get the impression that like underneath the kind of outward sarcasm of it and just sort of breeziness of it, there is a real emotional core to this album that's kind of underneath it that I think I and also a lot of other reviewers didn't really pick up on. But now 10 or 20 listens deep, it's like, oh, there's some real depth of feeling here that's really interesting. And I don't know how deep that goes or if it's worth, kind of parsing. But all of which to say, like, this record is it's the kind of record that is so opaque lyrically that you can sort of come back to it and spend a lot of time wondering, like, and it'll hit you different every time, because it is so specific that you couldn't possibly know what it actually refers to. So every time you hear it, it'll hit you a little bit different.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of like the 90s irony phase.
Yeah. They get
where,
compared to Pavement a lot, which is
Yeah.
is sort of surface level, but there's definitely something there.
But yeah, I think Pavement that works. That works as a comparison.
Yeah. Those are my big five. It's a toss up. I have a lot of honorable mentions, but those are my big fives this year. Those are the kind of undeniable faves.
All right.
So to the real best of
Yes.
2021.
Light it up.
Okay, well, we already talked about Call Me If You Get Lost. That one has really left an impression on me. And actually, I will say, like, a couple of these picks that I have, I would say, like, this is one of the first years where I haven't found myself gravitating towards maybe really unique sounds. I haven't heard a lot that's, like, really knocking me out of the park, where I'm hearing experimentation that I think...
I would argue that one of your picks is actually very, very, like...
No, yeah, I do have some.
Yeah,
I have a couple,
okay.
But like,
all right.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like, usually I feel like I'm kind of always gravitate towards that. And this year, I haven't found a lot of stuff that's doing a lot of like overt experimentation that I think is like really fun to listen to. But I think that all these albums kind of do have an interesting quality to them that I found just like, I don't know, I guess I just feel like of all the times I've found myself liking things I would have liked 10 years ago. And this is like the first year that's happened in a while. So Call Me If You Get Lost. We talked about it at length. Very, very good album, very solid album, very Tyler of Tyler. You know what I mean? So it's I feel like you can't lose with that one. But the next one for me was Newground's Death Rugby, Pictures of Your Pets. That album is really, really fun. Like the riffs, it has like, it captures like I think like what I like about emo music without capturing the things I dislike about emo music. Like it kind of stays fun. It stays kind of interesting. It has some like really harsh, experimental, energetic moments in it. Some of the production is really, really fun. Hate One Another is like
Hate One
so
Another.
fun to listen to. And like that's the song that really, like, as I listened to the whole album, that song like really, really stuck out to me. And it's the reason why I kept revisiting it. So like once I heard that song, it made me want to like really dive in and like revisit everything until I really could until I really felt like I knew the album well. The World, what is it called? The World Ends With You is another one that's really fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of really great songs that album. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you've got me sold already, and that there's a song named after one of my favorite Square Enix RPGs.
Yeah, that game is so underrated too. That's such a good game.
I didn't even know that was a reference to that, but there you go.
If you have a DS, John, you need it.
If you have a Switch, it's on Switch now.
Yeah, but it sucks on Switch though.
I haven't played it. I don't know.
It is awful. But yeah, like The World Ends With You is I'm glad you got it. I'm glad.
But the vocals on this album are fucking dope. I love the vocals. I love the guitar work. I would say like a lot of the times they're not necessarily like totally treading new ground so much as they're just like really putting together solid music. So I think, is this one that you were considering kind of experimental, Nelson?
No, this wasn't one. But I mean, I like the song titles on this one. You know, I like Who the Fuck Is Mark. I like Bears.
That's another one that's a real standout for me, actually. The riff sounds like they were listening to Slide by the Goo Goo Dolls and started writing that song by playing that.
So you have my attention.
In the greatest way possible. If that song turned into kind of a heavy-ish emo song. Very fun. But honestly, like, I don't know that I have a ton to say about the album other than just I listened to it a lot. It really left an impression, and it's just like infinitely listenable to me. Like I can listen start to back, and I just think everything is done really well without trying too hard. Like it doesn't feel like somebody was like they came together and said, hey, we have to make an album that's going to knock people's socks off. It sounds like they just wrote a bunch of good songs. And it's been a while since I've heard albums like that. And I would say 3 of these albums on this list are that same kind of perspective of just like people just came together and wrote some like really, really solid music. So Newground's Death Rugby, really fantastic. I'm probably going to cover that next month as my my monthly spotlight for the website as well. So I'll have more to say about it. But yeah, what stuck out to me initially is like the production on the album is kind of fun to listen to. It kind of balances really nicely, like maybe a more polished sound with a kind of energetic DIY sound. And as you can tell from earlier in our conversation, I'm not a fan of hyper polish. So I think that this like struck the perfect balance in production too. So very fun to listen to. Nelson, I know that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, for me personally, I like. If I think more so than any other picks that we've mentioned so far, like these, like it comes off that these people like each other. You know, it feels like you're listening to actual friends. You know what I mean? Like playing together and having a good time together. And these are songs that they wanted to do, as opposed like feeling that they had to do them. It's a very fun listen. It's a very good listen. It's not. It's like you said. It's not like changing the way like emo's done or nothing like that. But it's just done really. For me, it's just done really well. It's executed very well. And like the vocals are absolutely fantastic. And like me, you had many conversations about vocals everywhere from Chronic Future to like this record. And this record is definitely like it's definitely as far as like how the DIY scene is now, this is definitely top shelf as far as this year goes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I feel like this is one of the best DIY albums I've heard in the past few years, to be honest with you. And I have another one that's also on the list that technically counts too. This is a fun listen, and I just feel like they have some energy around them, which I think is well deserved. And Taylor, if you haven't heard this album, I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to checking this out. It sounds like it'd be right up my alley.
it's one of those albums where like I'll find myself listening to the car, but like when I'm trying to like work out downstairs, I also throw it on for that. And like, you know, I'm kind of just sitting around and I'll throw it on for that. It kind of just has a nice balance of sounds that kind of can be multi-purpose for me, which post-COVID lockdowns and everything, it seems like it's perfect for my life right now.
I'm really looking forward to hearing about, not to jump the gun, but the next record on your list is one that I've been hearing so many good things about.
Oh, you could just say it's Fiddlehead. Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
about to say. So between the richness. So Nelson, you're in your 30s. I'm in my 30s. Taylor, you're not, right? You're
I'm
in your
not.
20s.
I'm 26.
Oh,
I'm the baby
boy.
here.
Yes, you are. But honestly, like the thing I like the most about this album is like, if Title Fight had not made Hyperview, I feel like this is what the album they would have made in 2021 would have been.
Okay.
Number one. So it kind of has a mature vibe that kind of captures some of that like post-hardcore energy that I think Run for Cover is actually probably really known for. I feel like this band is one of the most Run for Cover bands I've ever heard in my entire life. And the fact that they're all older is why I think it resonated with me, where like it's rare to find an album with that sound and energy that is talking about like really adult things, where it's not about somebody, you know, kind of maybe, you know, waxing poetic about what ultimately feels trivial when you're in your 30s. You know what I mean? This is about people growing up, about having dead friends, about starting a family, about having children, you know, like things that like I find my friends having. Like Nelson and I grew up in a town where like we know we have a lot of dead friends, and like I don't often hear albums that kind of cover it in this nostalgia tinged way that both like situates this idea of like the living past with the idea of like also like the present really well. And I feel like there's this balance throughout this album of kind of these struggles of like growing up and feeling and recognizing that your life has not gone the way that you were promised. That these
I would
things
not have liked this record if I was younger. I can definitely say that.
I agree. I think I wouldn't have identified with this record when I was 21, but at 31, I do. And it's like, and it's because it does capture like that idea of like that retrospective, or, you know, kind of like look back at your own life so far and kind of documenting that journey and trying to like situate all of these weird events in your life and things like displeasure with joy, where they're trying to balance that idea of like the inherent unhappiness that comes with growing up, and you start to have less possibility and hope for what the unknown is becomes known, and it's not always what you wanted, you know? And like, I think it does a really good job of having that discussion without being pessimistic or too optimistic with it. Like it does just feel kind of like, I think it captures the way I feel right now as an adult, which is just like, I have these things that are really good that I look forward to, things that I do think are important that are not necessarily important to younger people or whatever. But I also like, yeah, maybe I am a little bit like disappointed sometimes with the fact that like, you know, I got this college degree that doesn't really feel like it did what it was promised to do. And, you know, we have people that aren't around anymore. And you sometimes think about like, what would that have been like had they grown up? Or, you know, how do I, the fact that like you're acknowledging like, yeah, that still affects you, you know, like this person who hasn't been a presence in your life since you were literally a kid yourself, like still somehow has an influence on you, even though they haven't been there in 12 years or 13 years or whatever. So like, you know, I find in this album, even the name of it, Between the Richness, is like so perfect for like the topics that they explore. And I find myself liking it for the sonic kind of sounds of like, almost like, again, like a very adult version of Title Fight, or maybe even like Joyce Manor if they went darker kind of sound, where there's still a lot of punky energy in it, and kind of this balance of like a real maturity in the content that, you know, isn't always fun to listen to. But I feel like in this context, like the instrumentals actually make it fun to listen to, because you're like, it captures the right feeling, that the anger, the frustration, the joy, all of it's kind of there. So
it acknowledges everything, you know, from mortality to like, you know, like love and loss, and like it acknowledges like the human experience that, at least at this point in my life, that
committed relationship, like treating your partner well, like just lots of weird, like different stuff that just, again, like, you know, not necessarily something you often hear on in a typical, you know, I guess you could say like emo adjacent post-punk kind of album like this, which again, if you haven't heard it, you'll know what I mean more, but there's a lot of energy and like punk edge to it. It doesn't feel like, I would say it feels more energetic than the Menzingers.
Mm.
You
I
know,
walked away with Liverman and Down University. Like,
Brown University is, whew,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's a, you know, it's been one of my most listened albums since it came out. I want to say it came out what, in March? I think it came out early March or late March, maybe somewhere around there, but maybe it's later. But either way, like since it's come out, I've listened to it a lot. So that's all I know. And it's one that has just, again, it's stuck with me. And I don't know that younger people, that it will resonate as much with them. Maybe certain aspects of it I think are kind of universal to being like, you know, self-aware at all. But
I don't know if younger people like really dug this record. I would be kind of worried about them.
yeah, like, are you
Like,
okay?
what kind of shit have you seen there? But
Yeah, we grew up pretty fucking fast, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's made for younger crowds, and like in a way, like I appreciate that because I feel like not a lot of bands are willing to like embrace an older audience.
Well, and not only that, but music being such a young person's game, and the rate at which people aren't able to sustain themselves as you know, musicians into later years, I feel like a lot of that just doesn't get made or doesn't see the light of day, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of a blueprint for like revisiting that idea of like, you know, Nelson and I had this conversation not that long ago, but like, go watch videos of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Those weren't kids.
Yeah.
The music was better because they weren't necessarily, and I think like that like demographic where you're like, you're not old, but you're not really young anymore. Like there's not a lot of musicians I see who are like embracing that and trying to balance it and make something that's just like true to them. They're either trying to like skew younger still and make something that sounds very immature, or they're almost like sound like they're 85 and, you know, looking back at their life that's over. And it's like, you are 35 years old. Like, fuck.
Yeah, how'd you go from like thrashing punk records to like doing covers of Johnny Cash's Hurt? Like,
You know, like it's rare, but I feel like there's bands like, I feel like the National like was perpetually 35 years old. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
they sound like that too.
there's
Yeah.
but it's rare. You know, you hear something and it sounds so like it always stands out when you hear something like that.
Yeah, and I think that was the Nationals' appeal for a lot of people was that
Yeah.
they didn't sound so young.
Yeah.
You know, and the younger people, because I was young when the National was popular still, and like I felt like people my age, that was like them trying to prove to everybody they were mature. It's like, I listen to the National, okay?
Yeah,
like,
it's a real grown up stuff.
yeah, you're a real grown up. You know, so that one though, yeah, if you haven't listened to Taylor, like,
Yeah, I'm on it for sure. That's one that's been getting so much buzz from writers I know. Really been looking forward to getting into it.
and it deserves it. Like it really does. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it because I've heard some of their other stuff, and it's definitely not as good as this. I feel like they really figured it out on this one.
I think for me personally, like this record, like I don't this is like a long time ago, and I remember like it was yesterday. But Bad Religion, when they came out with Descent of Man,
Yeah,
and the lead
there was some
single,
good stuff on that record.
yeah, there was, and like the lead single, I Won't Say Anything, was not like a Bad Religion song that you heard before. It was a more mature, a more mature take on life, and if Bad Religion would have leaned into that maturity like throughout the entire of Descent of Man, I feel like a record like Philodrome like would have
Was that the record with The Devil in Stitches?
maybe it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a very long time.
Yeah, so like it's been a while. I bought that record in Boise, Idaho before I went to Korea back in 2010.
Whoa.
So yeah, like yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, it was yeah, if because they're still doing like they still want to do the speed punk thing, and I think that's fine. But like the best record was like a slower acknowledgement of like of life in general, as opposed to like this Bad Religion, we're gonna do a revolution type of idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, and so it's funny you say that, Nelson, because like thinking about this album, one of the things that strikes me is like it sounds like punk, but like by people who are like very, very well practiced in their instruments. So like they trade off a little bit of that youthful sound of like maybe sometimes energy for just like incredible drums or like really, 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 really tight playing. And you're like, damn, this is fucking incredible. And like they still get you going, but like, yeah, you can tell like, I wouldn't call it's not slow. It's definitely energetic and kind of fast, but like there's a certain musicianship there that I think also kind of helps to it, like really suits the lyrical content well.
It's mature musicianship. Like the only thing I can really compare this to is like the Give and Takes record, where
I
like
can see what you mean by that.
where like the more like the songwriting themes of the record, not necessarily compositionally,
Sure.
but yeah, like where it's like you can acknowledge being not not necessarily old man, but definitely not the young man anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I think it's like technically like a super group. I think someone from Have Hearts in there and maybe Deaf Heaven, something like that. But I think
Sorry, I was just reaching around because I've got my Give and Take cassette right here. Anyway,
nice. Gabron would be happy to see that, I'm sure.
I haven't done my obligatory here's the tapes I bought this month tweet yet, but that's one that I got.
That's a good purchase. I think I bought one too. I wonder if I don't think.
Am I the only one who
I
found
remember
one?
if I already got it or if it hasn't come yet, to be honest with you.
I gotta buy one now.
So then my next one is OK Cool's Surrealist. OK
Yes.
Cool.
I've heard this one.
Yes. I was like, as soon as I heard this album, I was fucking pumped on it. And it does it. And it's, it's another album that I would say isn't incredibly innovative so much as it's just like the best version of what it is.
Absolutely.
Like,
it's just very good at what it does.
Yeah. Like the two members, Haley and Bridget, I think Bridget does drums and guitar maybe, and Haley does bass, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure, but like, it's like two people that recorded this whole thing. And it kind of reminds me of Dad's a little bit, which is just kind of like a nice parallel between the two as well. And it's like, I actually reviewed this on the website and I said like, it's like everything, it's like all the best aspects of fourth wave emo kind of rolled into a ball. And there is some like 90s influence in there. There's a lot of like really good pop sensibilities to the songs where like you have like catchy hooks or catchy, like in Five Finger Exploding Heart Technique, the bass drum combo, once it kind of like drops in, is like, so it sounds like a pop song. Like it's so catchy. And yeah, it's like blends really well into like kind of the mathier sounds of the, the twinkly emo type stuff that they're doing. It reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever listened to There, but particularly Analog Weekend by them. That's kind of who I think of when I hear this, where there's kind of like this smooth poppiness to this chaotic emo sound that's like mathy and stuff. And it's just, it's a really fun album. It's another one that I've listened to like a lot, where it's again, like for me, not necessarily way off the beaten path, but just so well done. You can't really ignore it.
It was so funny because you sent this to me one night, and I remember sitting down and putting it on, and at first having the sense of like, oh yeah, this is familiar, sound wise, but then like it sinking in like, oh wow, they're doing this thing I know really well. It's like once it hits you that like it's building on sort of the common language of emo, but just like really getting it, really nailing it. It's exactly. Like it's such a cool realization to have. Like, oh, it was immediately like, why have I not listened to this yet? Why am I not like keeping closer tabs on this band? Like, I need to be like way more in touch with this.
And that's how I felt about it. Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, how were people not freaking out about this in March when it came out? Because it's so solid. Like it's just such a well-made album, start to finish. So yeah, I've really like, that has been one I've listened to a lot. It Hurts to Be, I really like. It kind of reminds me of the Sweater song in the background a little bit, that like droning guitar, which I think is really fun too. But yeah, there's just a lot of solid everything on that album. Like the drums are awesome, the guitar is crazy, the hooks are great. It really stuck with me.
Yeah, OK Cool was a recipient of my second Twitter LP review.
The shoes.
yeah, I themed it after brands of shoes. So
yeah. It's a great album, and one that I hope more people check out, because they also just released a music video. I want to say, was that this week or last week? Oh my God, my days are so messed up now. I think it was last week. But either way, they have a new music video out that's pretty neat for Divers, which is the final song on the EP. So check that out if you haven't. Very cool band. And then
very friendly too. They're nice people. Like very very friendly.
And their album cover is cool, and it's also on a shirt that you can buy, and I have one with the album cover for Surrealist on it. It's very
Nice.
neat looking. So, you know, again, just check it out. I feel like they kind of did everything right with this release. So, and then finally, I picked Blood Cultures. I have been a fan of Blood Cultures since 2000 and probably 14, 2000, whenever they released Indian Summer. Initially. And at the time, Blood Cultures was an anonymous artist, not even a band yet. And they were releasing like one song every 2 or 3 years. And they were so good that people kept paying attention to them until their debut album in 2018. Happy birthday. Since then, they've dropped 2 more. And Blood Cultures, very, very, started out like as a very interesting kind of like down-tempo pop act. It was very electronic, but like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous music and production. Now it's a full band, and this last album is fucking weird, man. Like this is actually a weird album. Like this one has kind of goes in a lot of different directions. The song Graveyard Vibe sounds like
Yeah, that sounds
Halloween
weird.
song. I fucking love it. The
Man.
bass line in that song is incredible. Like it immediately just like sticks out to me.
No song on this record prepares you for what's coming next.
No, it doesn't. Exactly. It keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even the album cover is so cool looking too. Wait a second. I'm gonna pull
Hang
it
on,
up.
I gotta pull it up.
I can do a screen share.
Yeah.
Mm.
Keeps Bringing Me Back is great. Set It on Fire is great. Cabin Fever Freestyle is one of my favorites. It's just kind of balances like a really electronic sound with like this full band sound that's like really neat.
There we go.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And yeah, I think they leaned into that for like the entire like promotional like shoot for the record.
Yeah. They're considered a pop band from New Jersey. There we go. I think they might still be anonymous, actually. Let me see. I'm kind of curious now. Their album that they put out in 2019, Uncertainty, there we go, was really fucking cool. The song Best for You is like one of my favorite songs of that year, probably. So I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I definitely have like kept tabs on this band, and every release that they have would have probably been in my list somewhere. But you know, just a solid record. It's short. It's 8 songs, and it's pretty weird. Nelson, you listen to this as well?
Yeah, I listened to it, and like just it's so like different. Like from song to song, it's so different, and it's so varied. But everything is like calculated well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It's so like the instinct. Like I don't know how to like put myself in a frame of mind of which something like this gets written. You know, like
Yeah,
it's a complete
so-
mystery to me. You know.
And it's almost like a mystery if you listen to like their early work versus now, where you can kind of sometimes you're like, how did we get here? They're so different, and their early work was so well done too that it's kind of like mind-blowing that they did change their sound almost. Like I wouldn't expect them to do it because they were so good at what they were doing, that it's like kind of incredible that they've changed this sound the way that they did. Also, the singer is a Pakistani American, and I believe that's been kind of some of that experience of being like a first generation immigrant. I believe in the latest one is kind of like being touched on in some of their work too, which is kind of interesting. But
it kind of makes sense why they want to be anonymous, you know.
Yeah, could be, and you know, I could also be like. You have a job that you don't want to fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, I don't know anybody who does that, but it sounds like something that's plausible.
Yeah, you know, so it's
piggyback on that point. I've actually had somebody try to like use tweets against me and emailed them to my HR department.
Whoa.
And my HR department was like, "Yeah, we don't care. we don't care."
When I say fuck my job on Twitter, at least they don't know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now, when you work at a children's hospital, like people tend to think you need to have like some kind of like morality. Like, no, I'm just assigned. Like,
but yeah, so that album has been just really awesome. Graveyard Vibes is like, that alone kind of earned its spot on this list, I would say. So That's kind of my list around. I guess there are some honorable mentions. I'm curious to hear what both of yours are. I bet
Yeah.
they overlap.
I have some quick shout outs, I wrote about a record for Lonely Ghost community reviews called Power Station by Freak Jeans. Won't say too much about it except it's like I'm really into just like off trend, super stylized post punk stuff right now. This is just super unique, super fun. Check it out. Let's see. Other fun, weird stuff. There was another Grimalkin Records album that came out this year, Ms. Liza's Psychic Hotline by Evie Shark. Super out there, electronic record, very fun, short. I think it's like 10 minutes long. It's not going to demand too much of you, and it goes some fun places. Narrowly missing my top list is the Glitterer record from this year, Life is Not a Lesson. Really, really liked it, even more than I thought I would. A lot of those songs, stuck with me, and still I'll revisit. I will say I only listened once to Ultra Pop by The Armed because it's just a little bit too like heavy and crushing and aggressive to like make my heavy rotation. But that record rules, very good. Can't say anything bad about it really. It's very well done. One that I got into just this past week that is still, I'm not sure if it's going to be in the running for my albums of the year, but that I've been really having a fun time with is a record called Forest of Your Problems by a band called Snapped Ankles. English post-punk band, but drawing more on the like krautrock descended side of things. Very dancey, very like long groovy beats that kind of just go on with some like cool minimal synth stuff and has some interesting conceptual stuff around it. I haven't quite untangled, but is very cool. Other than that, anything I've reviewed this year was something I considered just because I've really dug so much stuff this year.
Yeah.
And I guess we want to go, John?
I can go next.
Oh, cool.
You can kind of close it out.
All right, cool. This is going to be weird. I hate closing out, but hey.
So one of them is the Sunfo EP that was recently released. I don't know if anybody's heard it. It's just another example of kind of like, I guess you could say like, again, not necessarily revolutionary, but like really well done, fun. Came out of Chillwave. They released it, I want to say like a couple of weeks ago. It's called The Shape That I Am. And it's just a really, really awesome record. The song Roger Folgers especially is like really good. So definitely worth checking out. Farsi has been putting out a bunch of singles that are like out of this world awesome. Again, not necessarily revolutionary or anything, super innovative, but just like so good. New Haircut is like probably one of the best songs of this year, to be honest with you. I heard a band that actually, okay, so this should be a 2020 shout out, I think. Let me actually check real quick if I can see. I don't want to get it wrong, but it is. Okay, there's an album called Sun Machine by a band called I Hate It Too. And Nelson,
great band name.
Yeah, I do remember this. I do remember this record.
I love it. It's so good. So actually, that could have been on my best of list too. I actually really love that album. I've been listening to that a decent amount. Wasted Space put out Exsanguination, this EP that came out like maybe a month ago. And
very good. Very good.
So
yes.
good. So good. I love that. And I know that there's others, but I'll call it good there. That's, there's a lot of good music that came out this year, but.
Oh yeah, especially like, I don't know for anybody else, but it feels like 2020 for me like started in like April or March.
Yeah.
Like 2021 started in April or March. Like it didn't start in January because like.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about the super early part of the year.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like.
Yeah, I didn't feel like a new year until like like vaccines were starting to come out and shit. Like.
Yeah.
So like real early in the year, we have. I really like I really historically have liked Madlib, and Sound Ancestors was a really great listen for me. Arm & Hammer and Alchemist did a record together called Harem, which was also very, very, very good. In fact, that unless like somebody else blows it out the park, in which Ka maybe, because Ka is just a legendary. That may be one of my top rap albums of the year.
I should mention that after we recorded the 2020 episode, I went and listened to Descendants of Cain, and that album is fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a single drum track on that album?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It's really striking that you like realize like you're like almost all the way through the album, and I realize like there's no fucking drums on this. I just been listening to this person rap over these instrumentals. It sounds great, but yeah, it's.
I said this in a tweet, but I feel like the image I got was in like a dark theater with like a spotlight on like a stool and him standing there with the microphone, you know,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it's so
Almost like a
like
monologue.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very monologue. Yeah.
And it's so engaging too. Like
Yes.
really, really engaging.
Yeah, you don't even realize the drums are like missing.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you don't.
They're
Like,
not missing, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
they're
not-
not
yeah.
needed. Yeah.
And it's dense as hell. Like every line is like so like I used to call my friends money. I lost hundreds. I love Cubs.
Yeah, no, it's a very depressing album. Like it's not something that I would just like throw on. Like you have to like be mentally prepared to dive into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like oh man. Yeah, I love that record last year. But I'm glad you guys took to it. I like to mention that two other Griselda records releases. Conway the Machine did La Maquina earlier in the year, and Benny the Butcher and Harry Fraud, The Plugs I Met Too, which is a sequel to an EP, which is now like a whole record. Also, like not changing the world. I feel like at some point, like this is more for people who haven't heard like Griselda records. You know, because I feel like at some point it's the same level of quality, which is a high level of quality. But you know, like if you want more of that, like those records are definitely a good place to go to. I really like Doja Cat's record, Planet Her. This is probably going to be my top pop album, unless
It's so interesting to me, Nelson.
What?
I don't really like that record. I'm surprised that you like it as much as you do.
I love Need to Know. I would love like I think like Doja Cat is just so good at everything that you know they decide to conquer. Like from the rapping to the singing, like it's actually at a level that is, you know, like superior to most. And I honestly really like the record. I like the record. It's like one of the more human pop records, I think. You know, in my opinion. And last but not least, Jasmine Sullivan Hotels. I love this EP. It's one of my favorite EPs. It has my favorite Anderson .Paak feature of the year so far. But yeah, just a really honest, like intrinsic woman experience record, and I suggest everybody give it a listen.
This is one I know. Like as soon as you say that, it's like, oh no, yeah, I know. I have to listen to this. I haven't gotten to it yet. It's like it's been so like I've really seen it. You know, it seems like one of the essential kind of things that's going to be talked about this year. I got to get on that.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a top tier like R&B record, and it's probably going to be my favorite R&B record of the year.
Cool.
You know, it depends on what else comes out, but I don't see it. This is a tough act to break, you know, and every like, you know, skit is done tastefully. Like the Ari Lennox and Anderson .Paak features were done very well, you know, and yeah, I think actually Anderson .Paak's the only male voice you hear on the record, you know, and it's a very, very good record. And I think with that, you know, until Kanye West comes out, I think we're done.
It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. I'm telling you, it's not gonna be good. It's not. Kanye's. I heard that snippet. It's gonna be on some bullshit.
I didn't hear anything so far, so like
it's not gonna be great. Taylor, I like that shirt, by the way. I forgot.
Thank you. Yes, this was actually designed by a friend of mine who has a Redbubble store called The Experiment House. I'll give her a plug real quick. I believe this was inspired by the 3 Feet High and Rising art.
Ooh, good record.
Yeah, so that was one I saw and was like, oh my gosh, gotta have that.
Last time you wore a cool shirt too, I remember.
Thank you. Yeah, I've
been. Oh, yeah, the pirate shirt, right?
Been working. Yes, it was the puffy, pirate shirt. I've been working on my wardrobe in quarantine, and now I actually plan around like, oh, I'm gonna be on a podcast today. I should wear something nice.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Maybe we need to try harder, Nelson. I don't know.
All right, hey, I like my Better Made potato chips shirt, like Detroit's finest potato chips, mind you, the best sweet heat potato chips you can ever buy.
Much respect.
Yes. I do not regret my clothing choices. I regret having this empty ass chair next to me.
I regret wearing a hoodie
Like,
and a
yeah,
mask.
yeah. I wish I had friends.
Your finest mask.
Yeah, well, the other ones don't make it so I can't like really see or talk very well, I realize. So
I loved the tape mask from the live set
yeah,
you did.
I gotta make a better version because like it kind of just like does whatever it wants. But that's the thing I'm gonna actually.
That's so
I think
cool.
that's
I
gonna
love
be
that
the
one.
reason. Yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah,
like.
I should give you the fucking helmet that I have over there.
Is that Daft Punk helmet going on back there?
What now?
Daft Punk helmet going on back there? That's what it
No,
looks like.
actually, when I was in the Air Force, that actually was like my going away present. Like,
Oh, wow.
because I used to work on shit like that. So they actually like decommissioned the helmet and like, gave it to me on a plaque. So,
You should start wearing the helmet when you perform.
Oh,
but
that'd be cool.
that thing is way too small for me. So, yeah, it was like one of the most unused sizes. That's how they could get away with it. So,
But
yeah, Taylor, where can people find you?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm on Twitter at Taylor Ruckle. I'm at Merry-Go-Round Magazine. I'll be hopefully writing some more stuff for Post Trash soon, and you can find all of my personal blogging at theallseeingeye.com and at theallseeingeye on Twitter and on Facebook. I've got exciting premiere coming up, and I don't know when this is going to post, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but just keep an eye out. There's stuff every week on allseeingeye.com.
Also, my interview with the All Seeing Eye and me and Famish
Yes.
and yourself, like, yeah, that was a really good one too.
Yeah,
I really appreciated that.
Check it out. That was I had to cut your hot takes about Doritos, but
Uh,
also let it be known, Nelson B is not a fan of Doritos.
I'm not a fan of Cool Ranch Doritos. Okay,
Yeah, specifically Cool
nacho
Ranch.
cheese is nacho cheese and fiery nacho. I love the top tier stuff.
So you wrote a song. You made a song called "I Brought the Cool Ranch Doritos," and you hate them.
I was gonna call it "I Brought the Acoustic Guitar to the Party," but I didn't want Famish to think that
Cool
I
Ranch
was
Doritos because I hate
You didn't
you.
want them to think you were roasting them.
Yeah, I didn't want Famish to think I was roasting them because I think everybody. I thought everybody hated Cool Ranch Doritos, just like everybody hates honeydew or apricot or something like that. Like,
I think they're the most popular flavor. I actually don't like Cool Ranch Doritos either. So add that to my hot takes for the day.
I have no beef. I have no beef with Cool Ranch. I'll eat them if that's what's around, but they're also not my go-to.
Interesting.
That's a fair statement. I like that. Where can people find Superdestroyer?
At Superdestroyed on Instagram and Twitter. I have not been super active on the Superdestroyer Twitter lately because I do the Lonely Ghost Twitter as well, at Lonely Ghost Rex, RECS. So if you really want to see what I'm up to, I suppose check that out. We are just constantly doing new stuff for the label. We've had some pretty interesting meetings with some possible new signees. So you might be hearing some new stuff with that. And we just got basically, I have either demos or masters, I think, for every project we're releasing for the rest of the year now. So I could just say like we have a very good year very good second half of the year coming. So I'm pretty excited about that. Check out lonelyghostrecords.com. You can find all of our little shows and stuff. This podcast, as well as Fry DIY. And we were doing a live session series that is probably going to be like released and rebranded soon. Retooled a little bit, yeah. And we are also looking for maybe somebody who wants to do a little show in conjunction with us that releases through our website. So if you are somebody interested in that, let me know. You can DM me or whatever. We also do artist spotlights once a month. So if you have a new release, you want us to review it, you want a chance to do that. We also take community reviews. Taylor has contributed to those. And that's just like anybody can review an album that's less than a month old, and those have been pretty fun, and we've been getting them kind of trickling in every couple of weeks. So yeah, check all of that out and feel free to jump in and add to it.
And I'm Lee Nelson B. I can be found at Lee Nelson B. You can find my merch at whitepeople.store.
I love that so much.
Yeah, and those prices are low. I make like maybe $2 per product or something like that. So yeah, whitepeople.store is a partnership between me and a model that models my album covers.
Can't believe I didn't know about this. I'm about to go on a spree here.
Merch is cool. I have one of the hoodies. It's a really neat design.
Yeah, and Singles project still ongoing for this year.
One's coming out. Well, by the time this comes out, no, next Thursday still. So if this comes out,
it's next week. Yeah, the 28th.
Yeah.
Got a special one coming out in August. Like, so that'll be nice. That'll be fun. And pretty soon I guess I can I announce it now? The November project.
Oh, I mean, if you want to. I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Okay.
but there's a project that's really close to being done, coming out in November. Hopefully it'll be
Keep the like specific details still
But-
a little longer until I get it finished getting it worked out.
I mean, it's not going to be long. It's going to be like 3 tracks.
But if you're a fan of like what happened with Famished in May, that Famished project, you probably will like this as well.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you. Or Nelson actually, I think, has the link. I don't have that link actually. Nelson
Okay.
will send it to you. But
well, I mean, I still need some bits and parts before I can like send out all 3 tracks. But I'll give you a little something, Taylor.
All right, I'm honored.
Okay, but this has been Tellin with Alan. Top records for this half of the year.
we'll
Thanks
see
for
if
having
any of
me.
these are there, you know,
What now?
I'm curious to see if any of these stick at the end of the year.
We'll probably find out next January or February.
Yeah. So,
All right. See you.
see ya.
Take care, guys.